welcome to episode 5 of Getting Your Ducks in a Row. We've had our first 4 guests on now, and what we're going to do is we're just going to have a quick chat with Jay and sort of find out who he spoke to, the interesting conversations, insights, and just dive in a little bit deeper on all of that stuff really. So Jay, who have we spoke to so far?
So we've had Jonathan Gammon on. Jonathan is a civil engineer essentially. I described him, I think, in the episode as a fountain of knowledge. Really clever guy.
He was the guy that was in Beijing, right?
He's been around the globe in the Middle East. He's had a few holidays out of his career. Let's put it that way. We had Chris Partington on, architect. Really insightful discussions about building your team, staff management, and also sort of planning regulations, particularly those rising out of Grenfell. Which I thought was really sort of, it was quite in depth, and you could tell that Chris really sort of takes a lot of pride in what he does, and a lot of pride in his industry. So that was really good.
I think in that one as well, he takes a lot of pride in his staff as well, and the people that he employs, and sort of giving back, if you like, if you can term it that way, to the younger generation, and making sure the people coming through are. What's the word, like fully engaged, would you say, or?
Yeah, fully engaged. I think also he takes a lot of responsibility for developing his team.
It, yeah.
And ensuring that they are being trained, not just in line with latest regulations, but also, in a professional sense, but also personally as well. So that was great to hear. And third was Ruth Marshall. Ruth started off as a geologist, and then transitioned after, I think, an interim period in the city into sort of project management and landscaping, which was really quite a bit of an eye-opener into that sort of industry, really. You think of landscapers and you just think of, or I certainly did anyway, in my ignorance, I suppose, you just think of gardeners. But what she actually does and the level of detail she goes into, the sort of design phase, project management, was really quite insightful. Yeah,
I think I've just cast my mind back to sort of watching that one through. The really interesting thing was Ruth is her background and how she was, what she studied in, and how she ended up where she was. So certainly from my perspective, that had me hooked. Sort of, I wanted to find out more about sort of where she's going and where they're going, which was really good.
Yeah, exactly. And RHS gold medal winner, no less.
Exactly, yeah.
And then fourth was Bart Kolakowski, quantity surveyor essentially, but there's a lot to his business, and he's really sort of embracing change in the industry, and the way that the industry operates, helping construction contractors to stay on budget and, work within sort of confines to ensure profitability, and also look at more sustainable ways of doing things, from both, from a business perspective, which was interesting to hear. And the good thing about Bart, and the thing that I found interesting, and I think this is something that makes him quite successful, is he has a background in the trade as well. He's been on site and then has transitioned over to QS. So that was quite an interesting career path.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any sort of key themes that come out? Because obviously you've spoken to an architect, landscape gardener, if I may, Bart, and also Jonathan. Is there any key themes across all of them that sort of were highlighted?
I think there's one of the key themes that came out of it, I think, and was quite standout, is the sort of skill shortage that there is in the sort of construction and built environment industry. Generally, obviously, that's quite the people that we've interviewed come from quite varied specialisms, but that was a common theme throughout. We spoke about planning regulations and building regulations and the process that's involved in sort of meeting various criteria, which can often slow projects down and often become a hindrance. Obviously, things need to be safe, right? I'm not suggesting there shouldn't be, but there seems to be, all 4 guests have sort of referenced those, and perhaps a need for it to be streamlined and made more efficient.
Was there much hope from any of them from the Labour announcement of sort of the reform?
Some, yes, but I feel like history tells us, and just general experience tells us, that a lot of policy making or policy reform is often behind the curve when it's initiated, and then takes so long to actually come into effect that by the time it's actually, at full play, it's almost outdated. So yes, there's hope, and steps are being taken, but general theme was that I think it's a bit too slow for everyone's liking.
Yeah, so no sort of quick relief coming up.
Doesn't sound like it, no. But we've got some sort of looking ahead. We've got some great guests in the pipeline, people that we've already sort of met and have episodes recorded. We've got a sustainability guru, if you can call it that. And I won't give his name just yet. I won't tease, but yeah, he's that was a really insightful episode talking about sustainability, building materials, sort of generally how the industry needs to up its game, as it were, in a sustainability sense. Who else have we got coming up? We've got a construction contractor as well coming up. Really interesting conversation with her. We've got some demolition experts coming up.
Nice. A bit of demo.
A bit of demo, and sort of difficult demo, if I could call it that. So, removing buildings in sort of busy areas, shall we say.
So not just smashing down your partition wall in your house.
No, exactly, yeah. Sort of moving large buildings in busy cities and how that's done. And they've worked on some really interesting projects as well, on current projects, nice. which is interesting. Just trying to think, I think there's one other. We've got a chap from a fabrication company, and they're steel fabricators up north in Yorkshire. And it was a conversation about the industry and the themes that we've been discussing and sort of what he's seeing in his industry. But it turned into a bit of a conversation about life in general, which was really, really quite cool. Actually, I really enjoyed my conversation with him, and that's coming out in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely stay in tune for that if you like a bit of I wouldn't necessarily say life advice, but if you like sort of chewing the fat about not necessarily the meaning of life, but life in general and taking risks and your sort of morals and things like that. It's a good one.
Yeah, I enjoy them episodes. The ones that dive a little bit deeper than just that service level stuff and the professionalism, but showing the personality behind the people within the industry is essentially what part of what we're trying to do as well. So looking forward to that one coming out.
Exactly that. I think that's it for a wrap up. Yeah, well, stay tuned, guys. We have more, as I say, in the pipeline that will be released in the coming weeks, and lots for you to enjoy.
Yeah, look forward to speaking again in 4 episode time.
Yeah, we'll do another wrap up then.
Yeah, amazing.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.